All right, welcome back to another episode of Get to Know. We are here with, I know some people don't want to say New Orleans native, but it's about as close as we got. Marrero, Louisiana. Kirk Kelley plays for the New Orleans Breakers. I'll kind of pass it over to you now, Kirk, if you want to introduce yourself.
Yeah, hi, my name is Kirk Kelley. I play left guard for the New Orleans Breakers. I went to Troy University, graduated from there in 2019. Played 2 years in arena football with the Louisville Extreme, the Iowa Barnstormers, and then the Vegas Nighthawks. And then that led me to my opportunity with the New Orleans Breakers this past season.
Absolutely. We'll hop into some quick hit questions, just easy answers, nothing too crazy, just to kind of get things flowing. First things first, man. I know the West Bank people are proud of the West Bank, so they don't like to say they're from New Orleans, but I'm still going to ask the question. What's your favorite place to eat in the city?
My favorite to eat probably be New Orleans food and spirit.
Okay.
I love eating over there. The voodoo rolls is my favorite.
Solid. It's solid. I'll have to try them next time I go. I don't think I've ever had the voodoo rolls, but that sounds good. You're trying to get warmed up. You're trying to get ready. Maybe you're a baseball player, whatever it is. What's your walk up or your warm up song to kind of get you in the right mind frame?
Uh, Gee, it's crazy. I was a baseball guy, so like this is something I've thought about for a while. I think because I was a pitcher, obviously the wild thing is like the go to, right? Like
Okay.
it's intimidation as a pitcher. You want the wild thing. Um,
Right.
ooh, that's a good one. I would probably say, well, right now because my favorite artist right now is Lil Yachty, so I'll probably say Slide or something like that.
Okay. That's dope. Yeah. Wild Thing. I don't know if that's a reference to the replacements with Charlie Sheen, but yeah, definitely love that answer. That's a good one, man. So I understand you do a little bit of music yourself, or did at one point. So what's your? I think you just said it. Your favorite rapper all time. We'll go all time instead of right now. So who's that?
So all time, I would probably have to say either Andre 3000 or obviously Lil Wayne, just from growing up in the area. But I
Right.
like Andre 3000 a lot. I was also a big fan of Drake, um, J. Cole. Those will kind of be like my list of just the go-to list of guys.
Yeah. No, I love that. I always tell people that I'm not gonna ask people who their top five rappers are. I want you to tell me top five rappers that changed the game. Right. That's like a much better response. You don't have to answer that now. That's just something if ever you want to have a fun debate with somebody. Instead of asking top five rappers, name your top five guys who changed the game. For me, I think the number one is always Drake because I mean he changed it from being very like you had to be a certain person to just being whatever he was, and he changed it a lot. So we'll kind of hop into football a little bit. In college, you went from being third team in your conference to first team in your conference in 1 year. What was that jump like to you? What mentally lock in happened to you to be able to make that jump going from third team to first team for the conference?
I think it was really just like gaining that experience, to be honest, because that first year that I made it was my first year actually like starting and playing. So I think really understanding like what a full season is like in college, and the week in and week out stuff of like trying to stay healthy and doing things like make your body last really throughout those games. I think that, and then the other side of it was Coach Moore. He was so good with teaching us like the scheme and understanding like formations and like alignments of defenses. I think that's like what got, and also technique too. Like that was my biggest thing. Is like I like tried to be the best technician I could be outside of like just the physical traits, right? So that was probably my biggest jump from that first year when I made it to that first team year when I was first team. I think is more so my technique and then just understanding the game better. I felt more comfortable, playing. I was able to kind of like be more vocal on the line. Like using my brain is to my advantage. But that's my thing. Like X's and O's is like my thing. That's I can go on the board. I can draw whatever you need me to draw up, and I can tell you where everybody's supposed to be at. So like once I got that down, and I was able to match it with playing fast, playing me able to determine what my opponent's gonna do. all those things that I learned and picked up from the guys that played before me. Because I mean, I sat behind a third round draft pick, so I was I was learning a lot, from him as well. So I mean, I would say that would be my like the biggest thing that I had from that jump.
Okay. Yeah, I love that. I know a lot of people probably don't know a lot of the ins and outs that go through the offensive line play, but there's a lot more there than meets the eyes, different schemes, different, where you're supposed to pull, where you're supposed to be, and everything like that. So it sounds like you might have a little bit of coach in your future as well, based on your knowledge. So I know you played your college ball in Alabama. You grew up in the New Orleans metro area. What was it like to be able to kind of come back to a team that represented, something close to home, but also still stay in a state in the Birmingham area that you're familiar with, almost like a homecoming times two, despite you not being in the same place, just a lot of familiarity with like name and stuff like that.
Yeah. So I mean, it's definitely obviously because I went to school in Alabama for a while, so I was used to the area, the environment, where I was at. Birmingham, and it's just Birmingham's more of the the city lifestyle than Troy is. Obviously, Troy's more of just a small town,
Mhm.
small town. So
Right.
really, I think going to Troy was good for me, getting away from home, like getting away from New Orleans and getting away from like the city aspect and like having that time to where I was like really focused in on like football, school, and like not really having other distractions and things to get into. And then coming back out in Birmingham for to play for my hometown team, which is kind of weird, like you said, to play for the New Orleans team, and I'm in Alabama for the whole season.
Right.
But it was still like I'm playing at home almost because everybody's familiar with Troy and Birmingham area. So it's like every time they would see you walking around, they hear, oh, you played at Troy. Like they'll have conversation with you, talk to you. So it still felt like I was playing like for my hometown team, even though I wasn't in New Orleans.
Right. Yeah, no, absolutely. I know there's been murmurs of, a different hub in Houston being the location. Honestly, man, the Breakers have gave the Stallions about as good as a run for their money as they can. But whenever you're like, oh, the Breakers locked up home field advantage, but they're playing in Birmingham, it's like, is that really like that's not a home field advantage, because you're playing the Stallions. But well, I digress, man. That's always been my biggest pet peeve. So even if it's not New Orleans, I hope they do get you guys in a hub that's still close, but not Birmingham. So when you guys force that game at home, you get a little bit of a home field advantage. Because I know there's, I know just like I know there's a lot of people from New Orleans that wound up in Houston, Atlanta, Dallas. So there's options to
Yep.
kind of get some New Orleans love without coming to New Orleans first. So outside of that, what was that experience like when you first put on that New Orleans uniform? It may not be the ultimate dream and the one I'm sure you're working towards of putting on an NFL uniform, but still getting to put something on at a professional level that represents where you're from, your home state, and everything like that. What's that experience like? Is it still the same every time, or was there something special about that first time?
No, it was special because again, like I'm putting that on, and it says New Orleans on there, and that's my my area code. That's where I'm
Right.
from. That's the area that I grew up around. So like, even though like it wasn't in the city, the people that know me and that I see around, that see me with my New Orleans Breaker stuff on, like it's still like
Right.
that same appreciation, love as if I'm still playing, here in the city. So I mean, to be honest, it's still special to me because it means a lot to represent my town. So like when I'm playing, it's more pride to it for me, to put out the best I can for my city. And I think even if it's here NFL, I think it still be the same. It'll probably be a little bit more special if it was in black and gold, just because that's who I've been watching since day one. So I mean, but
Right.
just representing New Orleans in general in a professional way is something that is real special to me.
Absolutely love that. Yeah, I know. I always say that, I didn't have much of a chance at going pro anyway, but I don't even know if I could have went, because if they had like told me I was going to go play for the Falcons, I might have been like, no, I'm just going to retire. Like I don't know, like how much money are they paying me. But yeah, it's either here nor there. But if you could block for any running back, okay, former, current, maybe just somebody that you grew up loving to watch, doesn't even have to be like a big name, like Barry Sanders. But if you could block for anybody, who would you want to block for as a running back?
I would have loved to block for Marshawn Lynch.
Okay.
Marshawn would
The
have been
Beast
my guy.
Quake
And
hurts,
what's
but
crazy,
that's a great option.
and another reason why I say this is because I actually blocked for his brother. When I played in Vegas, I played with his brother.
Okay.
His brother played right. Yeah, and so if that's one running back that I definitely wish I could have blocked for. And then I would probably say like as another option, uh, I'd probably say Adrian Peterson.
Oh yeah, that's a good option
I,
too. Yeah, absolutely.
like I'm I'm a downhill type of guy. So like I want to be able to if my running back can get just as physical as me, then I like that. And so I mean that's
Absolutely.
why West Hills, yeah, the running back we had this year, West Hills, he's like some similar, not to their stature, but he's a physical guy too. So I like physical running backs.
Yeah, he definitely seeks the contact very, very often. So I get that comparison a lot. I know I saw that picture of Marshawn Lynch when he was recording something in the city, and he was holding the sign on in the French Quarter that said, "I'm sorry about the Beastquake," and I was like, "Yeah, that's just the kind of guy, like that's who he is. He's hilarious." So he would definitely be probably a lot of fun to block for, or just he might be yelling at you a lot. He seems like a very passionate guy. So
Yeah.
I love those options all around. So if you could do anything outside of football, I know we briefly talked on your music. I don't know if that's going to be the option, but anything outside of football, what would you want to do?
Yeah, it would probably obviously be music, coaching. I coach right now in my alma mater that I graduated from my high school, and then baseball. I would definitely love to get on a baseball diamond again. To be honest.
Okay, love that, man. Hey, we got a show called. I think the name's still up in the air. It's called The Squeeze. You, as a baseball fan and a player, you may know what that references. But the social media name is That Baseball Pod. It's kind of crazy that was available, but that's what they got. So if you ever want to talk baseball, man, Dave is always looking for people to talk baseball. I know it's at the end of the season now, but we'll have to link you up and maybe get you as a guest on the show once or twice over there for the Squeeze Pod. So, um,
But yeah.
what's something that people may not know about offensive line play that as an offensive lineman you have to think about every single snap that most people just don't see happening?
Um, I think people don't understand that it's more technical than it looks, right? So people think, oh, you're big, you can move, you're strong, you can do this and that, but don't understand that everybody that's out there is big, can move, and is strong, right? So if people don't understand that, it's more of when people are losing, like if you see a guy lose a rep or you see somebody get beat, like you might think, oh, this guy sucks or whatever, cool. But it's more of maybe on that play, he just like he missed out on the technique that he was trying to work or whatever the case may be. Also, I don't think people understand how smart offensive linemen are compared to majority of the people on the field. Like, and then just the fact that like sometimes our endurance is as well because we're like the only position that doesn't sub out. So I mean, I think those are like three things that people don't really like understand or know about offensive linemen. That's like it doesn't show out there. Like you don't really notice these things if you don't really watch football or know about the position and understand how it works. And they also don't understand that like communication is the biggest thing on the offensive line. Communication is like the major thing. If there's no communication, 9 out of 10 the play will probably fail. All right, because we gotta know who we're working to. We gotta know who we're double teaming. Who I gotta work with. What area I gotta go to. We also gotta know what time, like when the receivers are coming in the block, when they run the screens, where they're gonna be at. So like we have to. We're almost like secondary quarterbacks out there sometimes. And so I think that's something that people probably don't know about offensive linemen that goes on.
Yeah, I know. Having Teron Armstead and Max Unger on the same offensive line for the Saints with Drew Brees was almost like having three quarterbacks. Very often you would see Max Unger point at guys, you see Teron Armstead yell and point at guys, and yeah, Drew Brees back there knowing most of the time where they were blitzing from and who should go where and should the running back stay or go or whatever it may be. So, like you said, it's also one of those positions where when you're a running back, you might have to know one word of the play. But as an offensive lineman, you kind of have to know a couple more because you need to know what that other side of the line's doing. You need to know what the running back's doing. and you might actually need to know what the receivers are doing so you don't get a legal man downfield based on where you're supposed to block and when you're supposed to be there. So a great answer all around. I love that. So we'll kind of wrap it up. Tell people a little about your music, man. I listened to a couple of songs. I know the most recent one was Rolex. You definitely have that New Orleans swagger that you come to expect from New Orleans artists. But if you want to tell people a little bit about that or whatever you want to tell them about, and we'll wrap it up.
Oh yeah. So my artist name is the number 9, Bird on this like 2K, the number 2 and the letter K. The 9 Bird, that comes from it's a group, me and my friends. We kind of just something we came up with when we were in high school, like just joking around. We got the name from like a song, Young Thug song that we listened to, and so we just like he said something about like 9 birds, and then we just ran with it. And what's crazy is like in the group now actually it's 9 of us, so it kind of it all goes together. You can find me on all social medias. All my social medias, I'm 9bird2k. I have fun with it. I enjoy it. I like honesty. I'm getting so many calls today right now. Most people they don't really look at me as an artist, but I think I've made a lot of progression, and it's something that I picked up as a hobby, right? But like I've kind of grown to love it, like the more I've done it, and so the more I've like learned to love it, the better I've gotten at it, and I've been enjoying it ever since. And I think I'm gonna keep doing it regardless if I make it big or not. Right? I got people that enjoy my music, they listen to it, they ask for it. So I think with that, should be an album looking out for in the next month or so. So if you're watching this, follow me on all social medias, 9bird2k, or on Instagram it'd be 9bird_2k.
There we go. Well, thanks everybody for listening. This has been another episode of Get to Know. We are here with, like I said, New Orleans native, Marrero native, Kirk Kelley, plays for the New Orleans Breakers. Be on the lookout for them this year on the field, and make sure you like, comment, subscribe.